Vigilant Broadcasting, the station of opportunity, presents The Chronicles of Doing Too Much with your host, Angel Riley.
Hello, everyone, and good evening. It is your one and only favorite host of the Chronicles, the Angel Riley, and I am so excited to join you all tonight for our live broadcast. Can you believe we are in week number 3 already? And I just pray that you all are enjoying the topics as I share just a little bit more about my background and where I'm coming from. And as the Chronicles continue to develop, you all are really relating to us and ready to jump right into the conversation when we open up the phone lines in the future. Now, last Wednesday, I promised that we were going to start a conversation about entrepreneurship and living our best lives and going down that road to how do we achieve those goals we want, through things of leadership, entrepreneurship, spirituality, just to live our best life possible. But I wanted to really dive a little bit more into the topic from last week, which was toxic people, toxic behaviors, just toxicity in general. And I want to have a transparent moment tonight. And as I was reading the definition of toxic people out of the Urban Dictionary, it was really difficult for me to hold back the tears of how, for a long time, I was in a relationship with someone who was truly toxic. And to read those words out loud while we were live here on air, it was just overwhelming to me with emotion. And I don't think I did the topic justice last week because just being human and really being transparent with you all, that was just a time where reality set in and really made me think. So we're going to go right back into toxicity again today. I'm going to read that definition again, and then we're going to talk just a little bit more in depth about you know, different behaviors of a toxic person, whether it's someone that you are in a relationship with or yourself. We're going to do a reality check because we are living our best life possible. And then we're going to talk about some steps on how to move forward, how to get away from those relationships, whether it's a relationship with ourselves or a relationship with a mutual friend, a relationship in an intimate setting, and so forth. So, how do we get out of that? So, let's go ahead and start out the show with the same definition from the Urban Dictionary of toxic people. And I promise I read this several times. We are not going to have a retake of last week where I had to pause because reality was setting in. But that's the joy of the Chronicles. The Chronicles is our place. The Chronicles is the place for us to connect. And the whole definition behind this show, The Chronicles of Doing Too Much, is that we have so much noise, so much chatter, so many things pulling us in different directions that we're not falling stable and finding a stable place to keep us on track to living that best life forward. So I am thankful that I got that personal overwhelming of emotional. And I'm even more thankful that I'm able to come back tonight and talk about it even more and expand on this topic. And, very prayerful that, my personal testimony and the information that I found to support the topic will help someone else. So, with the definition of toxic people out of the Urban Dictionary, toxic people, basically an individual or individuals who has a very negative and self entitlement disorder outlook in life. They are never happy and always want more and more. They are very cunning and secure trust. You don't see it coming till it's too late. They often feel the happiest over other people's misery and loss, and even work to make those things happen. It can be someone as close as your own wife to all the way to more distant relatives. Tends to be those that always have to be taken care of and attention must always be given. They are very dangerous and you must stay away from them. They will literally drain you from all your energy and financial resources through various methods and combinations of love hate cycles designed to confuse you and ultimately break you down. You can literally die from these people. They will lead you astray. And I wanted to give this sample. And mind you, I'm from the Urban Dictionary, so this is a real urban example that they have here with defining a toxic person. And it's, hey, honey, why are you fighting and arguing for no reason all the time? I didn't even do anything. Sounds like you're trying to manipulate me. You are a very toxic person. I love it. I absolutely love this definition. It is so dead on to so many toxic relationships that we may find ourselves in. And I'm not talking about just the intimate relationship. This could be family members. This could be close friends. This could be at work. It was funny as I was preparing my notes for this show, and I still have a corporate 9 to 5 right now. And with the work I do, I interact with different leaders and executives in the corporation on a daily basis. And I have, that's a part of my group, I go to these executive meetings. And I did just an unconscious comparison between these two executives just sitting in the meeting. And we talk a lot about organizational culture. And I'm not, under no circumstances am I saying any of these executives are toxic people, but sometimes the behavior can make an environment not so conducive to creativity or trust or honesty. But I had a meeting one day with two meetings, two different groups. One was in the morning, one was in the afternoon. Two very high profile leaders in the corporation. The morning meeting, it was almost like a child that's been scolded so much by a parent that they're afraid to say anything. They want to be sure that the answer that comes out is the perfect answer. And to see such talented executives so reserved because of that environment. Then in the afternoon meeting, same scenario, but you had the jokes and the laughs and people being really personable and enjoying being there. And everyone was contributing well to the meeting and contributing a lot. No idea was a bad idea. It was everything was an expansion. One of the things we teach in leadership at my 9 to 5 is to use the yes and method. So with the yes and method is that no idea is a bad idea. So if you throw out an idea, yes, that's good, and so you're not criticizing, you're enhancing an idea. It's fostering collaboration. I absolutely love it. I work for a great corporation while I still have that 9 to 5. But it was just awesome. So as I was preparing my notes for tonight's broadcast, I thought of that meeting. And sometimes it was just the behavior. It's just the behavior. Now, under no circumstances am I saying that the executive was manipulative. Under no circumstances was I saying that the executive was at a point of toxic with criticism. But I gave that yes and example of what we teach with the leadership techniques, that yes and is important. So when you're looking at your friendships, when you're looking at your relationships, when you're looking at those family dynamics, think of a yes and. And it sounds crazy. It may sound far off, but if you're in to an environment where you feel you're feeling manipulated, you're feeling someone is thriving over another's pain or discomfort or their downfall. You're feeling drained emotionally, financially, If you're feeling like you're going through a cycle, one of my favorite gospel songs is by Jonathan McReynolds called Cycles. I highly recommend if you listen to Christian music to God. I'm a Jonathan McReynolds fan. So I have quite a few of his songs that I like. But Cycles, if you truly listen to the lyrics of Cycles, it talks a lot about that and talk about the toxicity. And as we get into ways to get away from those toxic relationships and those toxic behaviors, we'll talk a little bit about finding like that thing that makes you you, finding that area, finding that safe space. So important. And I bring you all every night when we broadcast on Monday and Wednesday nights. I do our broadcast mostly from my safe space. This is the space where I'm the most relaxed. This is the space that I'm the most creative. And this is the space where I don't want anything negative or draining to be in this space. This is a happy space. So we'll talk about that as we wrap it up. So I found on Psychology Today, here was an article from 2016 by Abigail Brenner, MD. And the title of this article is Eight Things the Most Toxic People in Your Life Have in Common. And I just love it. I love the eight things that she outlined. This is a great continuation of what we discussed last week. And it's a great support to that definition we just had from the Urban Dictionary. So, number one, toxic people are manipulative. Let me tell you, they are. The whole goal is for them to get people to do what they want. It's either their way or no way. And they will do whatever they have to do to get their way, even if it's crazy. And, from my experience, sometimes we use the old hip hop song from DMX, Ride or Die, or what's that Eve? I can't remember right now, but I'm mixing up my hip hop right now. But the Ride or Die. Sometimes we kind of get that, and that's a way to manipulate. Like, yeah, I'm there for you. We're going to definitely go here. But I love the social media meme of, do I have a ride or die person, or do I have someone that's going to ask questions? Because, I am. And the best part of that particular meme is, why do we have to die? Can we just like ride? Can we stop? Can we get some help? Which is awesome because I think that's me a little bit. Like, I'm down, but I don't think I want to die either. Second thing is they are judgmental. Everything about you. And I'll share a little personal story from at first when I found myself in a toxic relationship, I didn't know. So when I was in areas of being heavily criticized or falling under the judgment of the person I was married to, it at first it was like, oh, he cares. Oh, I'm trying, look, well, maybe he's right. I do need to step it up a little or whatever. But it was really judgmental. Be quiet. You don't know what you're talking about. Or, and I have the gift of gab. I really do. But to get to a point where you don't want to speak because, you know, you're being told you don't know what you're talking about, that judgment there. And then it brings on insecurities, and we'll talk a little bit about that next. But you know that whole element of oh, you want to wear that outfit? Oh, what if we want to do something different? Do you want to be that casual? Oh, you need to get your hair done. Your hair doesn't look like all the others. And these are some very real examples, and they sound crazy. They sound insane, and you can say you are a woman who have it together. You have multiple degrees. You have a thriving career in corporate America. How can you possibly fall into something like that? But you can find yourself in these situations and not even realize it. Because toxic people are manipulative because there were at one time a lot more positives than the negatives there. So really be mindful of that judgment, and even yourself. How judgmental are you? And are you being judgmental because you're trying to see the demise of someone to make yourself feel better? That's a really good question to ask. Another she has here, they take no responsibility for their own feelings. See, their feelings are projected onto you. So have you ever been with someone and they don't take responsibility for their feelings and they'll say, well, people, and I'm like, who's people? Is people you or is people in general? Are you speaking for all people? Can we define the word people? They will take responsibilities for their own feelings. So just say it. You hurt my feelings. Why you can't be vulnerable? And if you point it out, oh my God, they are upset. Upset. And I have to say it like that, upset. So really think about that. Are you taking ownership? Are you owning your own truth? Are you dealing with whatever it is that is keeping you bound? We started the whole series of the Chronicles out with owning your truth. If you had not heard our kickoff show, I highly recommend that you go back to that show and listen because it's owning your truth. And if any of these topics that we're talking about toxic behavior, is resonating with you as an individual or because of how you are acting or maybe someone close to you, that's a great show to go and listen to about really owning your own truth. Point number 4 for toxic people, they don't apologize. Why? It's always someone else's fault. They're always the victim. It's the blame, the finger pointing. You don't get an apology. And after a while, you get exhausted asking for an apology. You get exhausted trying to explain your point of view. Because remember, they'll take no responsibility, so they don't apologize. Then we have the inconsistency, which is point number 5. You never know if you have the nice person or the jerk. I call it the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. you know, my ex-husband was famous for being Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And sometimes well, not all the times, it was like walking on eggshells, trying to figure out who I was going to get. Now, again, under no circumstances am I painting this man to be a bad person because I honestly don't think he's a bad person at all. He just was not the right person for me. All right, then we have number 6. They make you prove yourself to them. Oh, God. They always have to be first. Oh, you have a girlfriend. Oh, you're going to go out with her? You don't want to come out with me? Why are you going to? I'm more fun. You really don't like her. I had a girlfriend that was like that. This woman, I wouldn't hear from her for years. If her life was going great, I wouldn't hear from her. As soon as she had something terrible going on, this woman would hunt me down like I owed her money. And sometimes I would be too nice and letting too many people into my personal space, and it started to take away my peace, my stability, my comfort, and I just stopped. I had to stop. That's the thing of owning your own truth and being true to yourself and your own growth and your own road to living the best life that you want to live. But it was so funny, and she had a reason why I should only spend my time with her and no one else. She was the master of reasons. You don't really like her. You don't really like anybody. We have the most fun together. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I used to hate going out with her because I had to leave fun. But I always felt so sorry for her, or I felt like I was helping her. And I felt like, well, she doesn't have that many friends. And, I had to be a good friend. And it was just terrible. It was draining me. It was draining me emotionally. But I did it because I felt like I needed to be there for her. So when we talk about that, when we talk about our steps of getting out of those relationships, we're going to talk about, you know, you taking ownership for feeding into that toxicity, right? Um, we also have that they are not, they are make you defend yourself. I'm going to read this exactly as is written in the Psychology Today article. They have difficulty staying on point about certain issues, probably because they're not interested in your point of view or trying to reach an amicable conclusion. That's it. I love it. And she ends it with their tactics may include being vague and arbitrary, as well as diverting the focus of the discussion to how you're discussing an issue, your tone, your words. They focus on problems, not solutions. It was funny because just within the last few days, I felt myself in a conversation with someone, and the behavior mimicked 100% of what I experienced for years with someone that is always me. I'm always the fault. It's what I say, it's what I call a certain term of the conversation. And it had nothing to do with what they were projecting or what they were doing. But I was having to defend my feelings, invalidating, it was invalidation of my feelings. And it was just funny, but you have to also be careful and be sure that whomever you're speaking with, that you have that full conversation because you can. And, one of my good girlfriends and I had a discussion, and you guys will meet her soon. She's going to be a guest on the show when we talk about mental health. But we talked about being sure that I'm not projecting stronger emotion, even though the behavior is exactly the same and it needs to be discussed. But I'm not projecting stronger emotion because of previous situations. But that whole having to defend yourself is huge. Um, they are not caring, supportive, or interested in what's important to you. Okay. I love how she ends this. Loyalty is foreign to them. Yeah. The good things that happen to you move the attention away from them and thwart them from focusing on their own goals. Beware of people who find fault with you and make you wrong. That was just so perfect. That was so perfect. So we went through the 8 things from the Psychology Today article that toxic people do. We're going to wrap up the show out of Psych Central, which is a fairly new site that I found. And I started reading a lot of different articles on here. And they have a couple of quizzes. I love taking the quizzes, guys. I don't know why I'm addicted to doing the online quizzes. It is an addiction. I'm like, oh, that's not true. Let me take it again. I'm sure I have some others out who can relate to me about that. But I love this Psych Central article. It's written by the associate editor, Therese Bouchard. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And the title of the article is You Deplete Me 10 Steps to End a Toxic Relationship. And again, I want to be very clear that a toxic relationship is not just an intimate relationship, it can be a relationship with a family member. It could be a relationship with a friend, any co-worker, manager. I gave the example of how the organizational culture is very different between two organizations at my 9 to 5. And that's dictated by the leader. Nothing bad, but it was a noticeable difference. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is step out of denial. You have to step out of denial. That's the hardest thing. That's why we kicked off the Chronicles with owning your truth. And owning our truth, the very top first thing that we talked about there was that we have to face our fear. So step out of your denial. I love this article. They talk about questions to ask yourself. You know, um, do you feel energized or drained after you spend an hour with XYZ toxic person? Do you want to spend time with the XYZ person? Or do you feel obligated to spending time? Do you feel sorry for that person? Look at that. Didn't I say how my girlfriend that I had, that I was feeling sorry? I felt obligated. I was in denial that this is not a good friendship for me. But what I also found was that desire to please, that desire to help also turned into a downfall for a more intimate relationship that I had that was in a marriage, and behaviors were very consistent. All right? Keep a log of emotions. I love this. Here it says, the author says one of her depression busters is to keep a record of things that make her feel bad. I've never done that, but I thought that that was an excellent idea, and I think I'm going to do it. It makes me feel bad when I really want to buy a new dress and I put it on and it doesn't fit, and I have to get like two sizes up, and I'm not feeling good about myself after that. But I also like fried chicken, so something's gonna have to give. But I love that idea of keeping a log of things that don't make me feel good, that make me feel bad about myself, and then staying away from that. Number three is identify the perks. You know, um, there's some hidden benefits. Why should you stay there? So, what's the perk of being in a toxic relationship? Whether it's a friendship or intimate, how about comfort, comfortability? It's easier to deal with the devil you know versus the devil you don't know. Very powerful analogy. Feel the whole. All right. Now that you've identified, you've owned your truth, you identified the perks, and you have your logs, you're out of your denial. Feel the whole. I talked a lot about my sacred space. You guys hear me talk a lot about aromatherapy. You know, right now I'm on the coconut smell for the candles. My room smells delicious right now. Absolutely delicious. But getting into a routine, all of that is very important. So fill that hole. I do direct sales. I love being the leader to my direct sales team. So that fills a hole. They bring out the best in me. I'm the most creative. Next, surround yourself with positive friends. When you're around people who are toxic all the time, you'll be surprised how depressed you are and not even realize that you're in a state of depression. And when you're around positive people, it's like you hate them because they're happy and positive. So surround yourself with those positive friends because that's going to help you come out of it. Drop yourself a note. I love this idea. I love this idea. And I do notes all the time. And the notes that I do are always great notes. Like, I'll write a note and put it in my desk drawer and say, Angel, you're doing awesome today. And I'll open up my desk drawer and I'll find that little note and it'll be right at the time that you need it. Bribe yourself. You seen that dress? Okay, if I achieve XYZ, let me do that dress. Let me buy that dress. Bribe yourself. Do something nice for yourself. I'm always in the hair salon. All right, that's my bribe. Repeat affirmations. Allow some rest and heal the shame. So I hope I did justice tonight to what I didn't finish last Wednesday when it comes down to ending your toxic relationships, toxic behavior, do a self check of yourself. You have to do a self check. Are you exhibiting some of this? So thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. And I look forward to talking to you all on Wednesday. Good night.
Thank you for tuning in. Remember, you define your own success. Believe you can do it, build a solid foundation, know your circle, and soar. Until next time.